Alright guys, so I got really lucky yesterday and I found a high-end MP7. The first one I've ever found. And I got lucky and it actually rolled good. This MP7 is real nice. Let me just give you a sneak peek at this little thing here. The talents that it rolled are Deadly, Competent, and Predatory. Currently I don't have Predatory unlocked, but after the patch I might, because I'll be adding some more electronics. But it rolled Deadly and Competent. Competent's something that I never really had any experience with, but after using it, it's actually a really, really good talent. Weapon damage is increased by 13% for 10 seconds after using a skill. And in PvP, pretty much I'm always using skills. Before I get into a fight, I use my self-heal, give myself the overheal, a booster shot, whatever I'm using, and I now have a big percent damage increase. It actually does change the DPS on the weapon. Currently, as you can see, I'm 158k DPS with it, and it's shooting for 9,461 damage per shot with a crazy 1,206 rounds per minute. This thing has just the most insane rounds per minute. It's 950 rounds per minute base. The Vector is 750. The MP5 is 800. So this thing is the fastest rate of fire submachine gun that you can get. It does also have only a 20 round mag. Mine's 40 with my magazine. And compared to the MP5, my MP5 does currently 8,994 damage per shot. So it's actually higher damage per shot than the MP5 with a higher rate of fire, smaller magazine. And compared to my Vector, Vector's 10.3k damage. And again, MP7's almost 9.5, so it's very close in damage to the Vector. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have Brutal. My Vector does, and so does my MP5. But with a gun like this, I think I'm going to be aiming for the body the most anyways, trying to land as many shots as possible, especially with the new Strikers battle set that's coming out. I'm pretty much just going to start focusing on body shots. Now, what's cool about this is when I cast a skill, Competent takes place, and you can actually see your DPS and gun damage change. So let's open up my inventory again. Now you can see my DPS is 197,000, and the damage on the gun per shot is 11.8k. That's a big increase. I believe that's a 25% increase. Let me see, am I running overdose or booster shot? If I'm running booster shot, that's a 25%. If I'm running overdose, I am. I'm running booster shot right now. This gives 12% damage, and the talent itself gives 13, so I'm getting a 25% base damage increase. But without overdose, let's look at it here. Or without booster shot, with overdose, we are sitting at 176k DPS, and it is now hitting for 10.6k damage per shot. Still a bit higher than my Vector. Now, when I used to compare Vector with MP5, the reason I preferred the Vector was for the burst damage. And what I mean by burst damage is not taking burst shots, but it's the amount of damage you do in a quick amount of time, basically before you have to reload. The amount of seconds it takes to empty a magazine, how much damage you're dealing in those couple of seconds. Now, the Vector was superior to the MP5 in that aspect. The MP5 was better at sustained damage, overall DPS, damage per magazine, and just the sustained damage output. Now, the MP7 has come along and completely overshadowed the Vector. The MP7, even without the Brutal headshot perk, run through the DPS spreadsheet that I'll have a link to if you want to check out the spreadsheets for testing out your guns. With a 20% headshot chance, I calculate with 20% of my shots being headshots, it still is way more burst damage than the Vector. And when you don't count headshots, it completely dominates the Vector, just way, way better than the Vector in burst damage. Now, the MP5 is complete opposite end of the spectrum. It is low burst damage, very high sustained damage to the MP7, so it's pretty cool. It's completely overshadowed my Vector. My Vector's still insanely good, deadly, brutal, and skilled. This is my PvE weapon because I have skilled on a primary gun. This is just insane for PvP. But my MP7 I think is going to be my new go-to gun for the Dark Zone. And now with the new set bonus, I'm really interested in the Striker's Battle Gear set. I'm going to be... Basically, I no longer want Brutal, because I'm going to be aiming for body shots. With the Striker's Battle Gear, you gain 1% damage increase for every shot fired into the target, and you lose 2% every time you miss a shot, as well as you lose 1% every second. So the MP7's great for that. The higher the rate of fire, the better. The more damage, or the more shots on target, the better. That way, I don't need to necessarily aim for the head and have chances of missing shots. Just going to go center mass, try to land as many. This gun has an amazing shot pattern and recoil for its rate of fire. You can see the magazine just dumps. I'm going to fire without adjusting my mouse at all. This is just the pattern that it does. Straight up. It is amazing. And at this range, just slices them right up the center. It has no horizontal deviation. It's amazing. And then if I want to try to keep it controlled with my mouse, they're all on point. It's absolutely amazing the way this gun fires. Even at this range, it's amazing. I love it. It's my new favorite gun, and I got really, really lucky with the rolls. Couldn't be more happy. I mean, it's far from perfect, I must say that. It's got low crit chance on it, and it doesn't have a very usable stat up here. One thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dropping my firearms lower with this new set. I plan on... I used to want 2362 firearms to unlock Brutal, but with this gun, I no longer need it. What I need is 1889 firearms, so I'm going to drop one piece of firearms, add one piece of electronics. I'm then going to be able to unlock the Predatory, which will give me health regen every time I kill something, which is nice. And then... if the patch fixes the Reckless talent from giving damage reduction instead of making you increase damage the way it's supposed to be, I'll be switching over to the Vigorous chest, granting Overheal to my healing skills, and then swapping from Overdose on my self-heal to Booster Shot. And if you didn't know, Booster Shot actually gives 15% damage reduction. So currently, with my Reckless chest on, as you can see here under my additional mitigation here, all damage resilience 10%. That is from the Reckless chest. This is supposed to say negative 10%, but it doesn't. It's actually giving me 10% damage reduction. And when I pop Booster Shot, it doesn't even tell you this in the skill. That's a damage bonus and damage resistance. So I go back to my character sheet here, and look at this, 25% all damage resilience. So Booster Shot gives 15%, and that's on top of your 65% mitigation. So it lets you reach further into your damage reduction than you normally could. And what's crazy is a lot of people don't know it does that because it doesn't say it does. Booster Shot just says it temporarily increases damage. It gives you a very small heal, but it doesn't mention the damage reduction, which is incredibly, incredibly important. I almost feel it's more important than the damage increase, which I've done a test. It seems to be about 12% damage increase with 15% reduction in it. And from the minimum amount of testing I've done, it doesn't seem that skill power makes either of those numbers go higher. It only helps with the amount of heal that you get. And the only problem is since it's a smaller heal, it's a weaker overheal. And when I run my Gunslinger's Vest, with that, I don't get a proper overheal. As you can see, it only goes to about half of my overheal bar. So I need a chunk more of electronics. Like if I switch to this mask that has electronics and skill power, and I pop Booster Shot, you will see that it actually gives me a full overheal, which is quite nice. So I think I need to target around, I'm guessing around 18,000. I got to do some more testing, maybe 18,000 skill power, and I'll be able to get a full overheal from Booster Shot with the Vigorous chest piece. And here we go. As you can see there, boom, full. And very, very quick. I do think it's a little bit overkill. I don't need that much. And yeah, I plan on dropping one piece of my gear from firearms to electronics to boost it up. And then with this chest, because it has such high armor, and the current gear I have, I can actually roll the mod slot onto it and use a skill power mod slot rather than using an armor mod slot, because this chest has so much armor already on it without using a mod slot to add more armor. So really excited. I'm really hoping they change Reckless and fix it. It's incredibly overpowered and broken. I know they're fixing the rehabilitated mask, but I'd really appreciate if they fix this, because I don't want to use this chest right now, but it's so good I use it. I'd much rather be using the other one and start building towards a more proper build. When these new set pieces come out, I'm going to stick with my chest and my gloves, running the Savage gloves, and then roll the mask, the knee pads, the backpack, and the holster into the Battle Gears set. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. The mods on this MP7, I forgot about that, are the same mods I've used on all my others. Pretty much stability crit damage muzzle, stability horizontal, stability grip, magazine size rate of fire magazine, and a headshot damage crit chance scope. And I might actually, if I no longer am going for headshot damage, I might actually drop the headshot damage scope and go for an optimal range crit chance scope for PvP. That way my damage at longer ranges is increased drastically. I've done some testing, and I think it's about 8% damage increase at this range right here to this target. The difference of no optimal range or optimal range on the scope is, I believe, about 8%. I haven't tested in a while, but really, really nice. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this. Really, really hope you guys find some good MP7s. I'm really loving mine. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to check out all the other videos. See you guys later.